Matilda by Roald Dahl. Matilda stood up and began to say the two times table. When she got to twice 12 is 24, she did not stop. She went right on with twice 13 is 26, twice 14 is 28, twice 15 is 30. Stop, Miss Honey said. She had been listening spellbound to this smooth recital, and now she said, "How far can you go?" "How far?" Matilda said. "For quite a long way, I think." "You mean," said Miss Honey, "that you could tell me what 2 times 28 is?" "Yes, Miss Honey." "What is it?" "56, Miss Honey." "What is 2 times 487?" "974," Matilda said immediately. She spoke quietly and politely and without any sign of showing off. Miss Honey gazed at Matilda with absolute amazement, but when next she spoke, she kept her voice level. "That's really splendid," she said. "What about the other multiplication tables? Do you know the 3 times table?" "Yes, Miss Honey." "And the 4 times?" "Yes, Miss Honey." "Well, how many do you know, Matilda? Do you know all the way up to the 12 times table?" "Yes, Miss Honey." Miss Honey paused and leaned back in her chair behind the plain table that stood in the middle of the floor in front of the class. She was considerably shaken. She had never come across a 5-year-old before, or indeed a 10-year-old who could multiply with such facility. Miss Honey took a deep breath. She looked again at the small girl with bright eyes standing beside her, so sensible and solemn. "You say you don't find it difficult to multiply one number by another," Miss Honey said. "For instance," Miss Honey said, "if I asked you to multiply 14 by 19, no, that's too difficult." "It's 266, Matilda said softly. Miss Honey stared at her, then removed her spectacles and began to polish them. The class remained quiet, watching her and waiting for what was coming next. Matilda was still standing up beside her desk. Miss Honey said, "The human brain is an amazing thing. I think it's a lot better than a lump of metal," Matilda said. "That's all a calculator is." "How right are you?" Miss Honey said. Miss Honey was feeling quite query. There was no doubt in her mind that she had met a truly extraordinary mathematical brain. She knew that these wonders do pop up in the world from time to time, but only once or twice in 100 years. Miss Honey went to the blackboard and wrote with her chalk the sentence, "I have already begun to learn how to read long sentences." She knew that there were precious few 5-year-olds around who would be able to manage it. "Can any of you read the whole sentence?" Miss Honey asked, waiting for the yes that she felt certain was going to come from Matilda. "Yes," Matilda said. "Go ahead," Miss Honey said. Matilda read the sentence without any hesitation at all. "That really is very good indeed," Miss Honey said. "How much can you read, Matilda?" "I think I can read most things, Miss Honey," Matilda said. Miss Honey got to her feet and walked smartly out of the room, but was back in 30 seconds carrying a thick book. She opened it and placed it on Matilda's desk. "This is a book of humorous poetry," she said. "See if you can read that one loud." Matilda began to read. "An epicure dining at Crewe found a rather large mouse in his stew. Cried the waiter, 'Don't shout and wave it about, or the rest will be wanting one too.' Several children saw the funny side of the rhyme and laughed." Miss Honey said, "Do you know what an epicure is, Matilda?" "It is someone who is dainty with his eating," Matilda said. "That's right," Miss Honey said. "And do you happen to know what that particular type of poetry is called?" "It's called a limerick," Matilda said. "That's a lovely one. It's so funny." "Who taught you to read, Matilda?" Miss Honey asked. "I just sort of taught myself, Miss Honey." And have you read any books all by yourself? Any children's books, I mean? I have read all the ones that are in the public library in the high street, Miss Honey. And did you like them? I liked some of them very much indeed, Matilda said, but I thought others were fairly dull. Tell me one that you liked. I liked The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Matilda said. I think Mr. C.S. Lewis is a very good writer, but he has one failing. There are no funny bits in his books. You are right there, Miss Honey said. There are not many funny bits in Mr. Tolkien's either, Matilda said. Do you think all children's books ought to have funny bits in them? Miss Honey asked. I do, Matilda said. Children are not so serious as grown ups and they love to laugh. Miss Honey was astounded by the wisdom of this tiny girl. She said, and what are you going to do now that you have read all the children's books? I am reading other books, Matilda said. I borrow them from the library. Miss Honey was leaning far forward over her work table and gazing in wonder at the child. What other books? She murmured. I am very fond of Charles Dickens, Matilda said. He makes me laugh a lot, especially Mr. Pickwick. At that moment, the bell in the corridor sounded for the end of the class.